Well, it seems like everyone's trying to come up with some type of emergency heat system to store or keep somewhere in case they have a winter storm, power outage, or whatever, where they can no longer have their standard heat supply. We have seen it down south when we had big winter storms and ice storms down there, down in Texas and certain areas where they just weren't used to having no power or something that cold. Up here north, we often have situations where you have a second heat backup system, but a lot of people don't. So what happens is that they lose power. They have no way of having any type of indoor safe heat. Some people will keep, units like a little propane type buddy heater, things like that, that actually have some type of heat that is safer than others. In a case like this, I've seen a lot of people put together their own, heaters made out of either flower pots, old, cleaned out tin cans, whatever. I also seen a lot of places, people that will make some kind of winter rocket stove for outdoors, or they convert these little heaters here. Actually, it's a stove for sterno, but they'll convert it so it can run off of little small twigs and whatnot. Sometime back, I started creating a heater that you could use a 30 cal ammo can, because you can fit 9 of these little sternos in here, and each one has a 2.5 hour burn time. So when I originally had created it, drilled a bunch of holes on the sides, try to get enough airflow in there, and also try to retain heat but also let some of the heat out. When I did it, it worked fantastic with one of the heaters. Once you put 2 of these in there, it would not get enough oxygen and one would burn out. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to modify this more. I'm going to drill the holes a little bit bigger, and we're going to see if that will let the 2 units actually burn properly. And we're also going to test to see what the temps are on this when it is cold, what the temps are on it when it is with one unit, and what the temps are when we're burning 2 of these in here. So, and you can get these fairly cheap. I think I pay $1 a piece before, or even maybe just a hair more. But I think I bought a case of these for $1 a piece at Ocean State or something like that. But they're very reasonable as far as price goes. And like I said, you can pack 9 of these in one ammo can and get yourself a lot of burn time. So I'm going to do some more modification on this, and we'll do some more testing. Alright, I've made some modifications to this case. As you can see, I've drilled a bunch of holes, much larger. I've done it in certain areas on both sides. So hopefully that will get more air into this unit. And just want to keep in mind also, when you're doing this type of things, gloves, keep gloves around, because these units will get hot. Safety is a big feature here, so carbon monoxide detector, also have a fire extinguisher handy here as well. So if you're going to do this type of things, make sure you keep things around that you can use in case you have any issues. First thing I'm going to do is test this unit for the temperature as what it is right now. And as you can see, that is about 61 degrees so Fahrenheit is what the box is with no heat on it at all. I have this now running with one sterno unit inside heating, and I've had it running for now about 3 minutes or so, just to see if I can start getting the temps up. And as you can see, it's running somewhere between 165 and 160, depending on where you put this. Now, if you bring your heating temperature tester to the vent port, one of the vent ports, it jumps way up to about 230 Fahrenheit. So this is currently running with one single heater in it. Now it will run for 2.5 hours on one of those single ones, as I mentioned earlier. I have this set up currently on bricks, try to keep it up off of any kind of combustible material. And this heater itself, I'm going to let it run with just one heat unit in it for another 4 or 5 minutes to see if I can get the metal all up to one temperature. Once that metal all heats up, and then we're going to test out to see just exactly what it's putting out for heat off the top and sides. Unfortunately, it's about 62, 63 outside right now. I was going to try to do this on a little bit colder day, but it worked out that today was just a little bit more warm than usual. This has been running now for about 5 minutes with just that one single heating unit inside. One thing I want to remind you of is that when you set up a military box such as this, either 30 cal or 50 cal, however you decide to do it, make sure you remove the rubber seal that goes around the lid that seals the box when the boxes were made. You don't want to have that rubber seal inside that box. So if we go back to temperatures, we're still looking around 155, 165, depending on where we put it. Right now, that heat unit is right in the center of this box. And again, we go back up here to where it exhausts out, and it's still somewhere around 220, 225. So it heats, produces a somewhat, decent amount of heat coming out of the unit. It's actually designed a little bit better to work off of 2 of these. And as I mentioned earlier, these are much safer to use because they are used in restaurant chafing dishes. So you go out to eat somewhere and they have a buffet or some type of thing out, with large metal chafing dishes out there in a banquet setting. These are lit underneath there, and they'll have 2 of these under each of the chafing dish. So that allows that food to stay warm. So it is definitely much safer to use indoors for the purpose of heating. I am going to now set this up with 2 heaters inside, and we're going to check the settings on that. This has now been running for a few minutes with the 2 heating units inside. And quick test again for temperature. And you're going to be running here, as you can see on the side walls of the units, up to about 180 or so. And as you're getting closer to the exhaust port areas, about 280, 290. And if you keep it directly on there, you're even reaching temperatures of up to 300. So it is a considerable difference in heat coming out with the added in heater. So you can actually feel it too, as well as you're putting your hand around this heater. And what I like about this particular one is that very small, compact, and you can store 9 of these inexpensive, safe to use chafing dish heating units. It's basically just methanol gel, 2.5 hour burn time, as I mentioned earlier. You can fit 9 of those right in that, pack it away, store it somewhere, and if you ever need it, you pull it out and use it, and you can get a good amount of burn time on those units. And you know, worst case is that if you end up having to stretch it out, you can use it with just one heating unit. But do yourself a favor, like I said before, make sure that your rubber seal is gone, and do a burn off on this, because there's paint inside and outside. Burn it off ahead of time, get all that stuff burnt out, let it run for a good, you know, half an hour to an hour, burn it off good, and then store it away for in case you ever need it in the future. As you can see, the heat and kind of rising off that and coming out of the holes right now. I hope this helps somebody out in the future, and thanks for watching the video.